Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to get started. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Alana Mohammed, and today we are going to be reviewing the TD4 prep based on this webinar today. It is being recorded, so at the end, you all would have access to it via our YouTube channel, which my coworker Kadeen will show you all later how to access that and some other things. So, anybody has any everybody's hearing me, right? I guess so. If you all have
Yes.
any issues, you could type in the chat. Karine will be checking that occasionally. And let's get started. All right. So TD4s is something that some people feel nervous about it. Some people feel stressed out about it. Some people is a easy, quick process. All right. So depending on the type of payrolls that you have, then you may have to do TD4s for your weekly paid, your monthly paid, and all of these other types of payrolls. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to share my screen and let's start this. Okay, so this is a quick snapshot of what our webinar will look like today. We're going to start off with doing your micropay updates to ensure firstly that you have the TD4 files, reviewing some of your yearly reports to check your TD4 values. Now, coming off our last webinar in December, hopefully you all would have attended or you would have viewed that webinar. We would have showed you some of the reports to check before you would have closed off the year. So today we'll just be carrying on with that to show you some others now that you've actually closed the year. Some quick tips and things to be mindful of. Generating your CSV file and your Severance TD4. And finally, the star of our show today, generating your TD4s. So we jump straight into the updates, and one of the most popular emails that we get around this time of the year, and some of you may have had it or seen this error pop up when you try the TD4, is that you try to generate the TD4 and you get a load report failed. So you jump on your computer and you email us and say, I'm getting this error trying to run my TD4. What's happening? So, firstly, every year we have to generate the TD4 as a new file to be added to MicroPay via an update at the beginning of the year. So, if you have not updated your MicroPay and you try to create a TD4 in the current year, of course, you're going to get a load report failed error because it's looking for a report file that actually is not there as yet. All right. So, do not get too worried if you get this error. It simply means that you need to update MicroPay or you need to get the TD4 files from us. For those of you that will be using Dynamics Pay, of course, you'd reach out to us and we will send the files to you all. And for those of you who may have special customizations and your IT person may need to reach out to us and we will send the files so that you will have access to your TD4s and you would not be seeing this error coming up. Okay? Right, we're going to go now into the reports that you need to check for your TD4. So I'm going to switch to the application. All right, so the first report that I have noted here is the employee year-to-date summary from payroll reports. So this is where the system will generate that report based on all of the 2024 payroll runs that you would have processed for the year. The second report is the employee previous year-to-date summary. So at the end of the year, it would have taken the totals from your payrolls and it would have written that to your TD4 table. Okay. We have a brand new report that we introduced to help you all with actually reconciling the first two reports that we have on top there. So every year, let's say you have 1,000 employees, you have to generate the two reports. If they don't match, then you have to go through individually and figure out who has differences, which could be it could be a painful, tiring task. So this year we introduced a brand new report to really help you all identify anyone with issues. So it's really quick and easy now. It will show you any differences. So if you all are logged into MicroPay and you've updated, you could go ahead and try and see if you may have access to this report, or at the end of it, you could check to see whether you're seeing this new report. All right. I would show you all it as well in MicroPay on my system in a bit. And the last report that we have noted here is the employee year-to-date summary with start figures. Now, this is only applicable if you are a brand new micropay client in 2024, because those clients would have used the start figure fields rather than having to do all of their payrolls. They would have entered start figures and then continued on with their payrolls in 2024. All right, so we're going to switch now to micropay. And we're going to go into reports, yearly reports. So in here, we have the first report that I would have mentioned, which is this one. All right. So employee previous year, year-to-date summary. So this will represent your TD4 values that you can check. And ideally, this should match the second report that is mentioned, which is this report. All right. So it's the second report, and if you count down, it's about the sixth report here. Okay, so this one should also match because this is generating the totals from the actual payroll runs for last year. Okay, so ensure that your totals match. If they don't, then you have, as I mentioned, the brand new report, which is the comparison report to those two reports. It's called the employee year-to-date / payroll variance report. So if I open it up, I'll choose the year. Now you could choose an actual employee as well. So you have the filters there if needed. All right. And this is nicely color coded. Now my one actually matches. But in your case, if it does not match, if it matches, well, all great. That's wonderful. If it doesn't match, you will see some values in red. So you will be able to quickly spot which employee or employees have a difference. So generally at the end, all of your fields should be 0 with no differences because it does an employee by employee comparison. All right. So this is our wonderful new reports. I would advise you all to, if you are on version 2555 right now, we would have adjusted this report between yesterday and today. So we would issue a new update. So you should really go up to version 2557. We would add that to the auto update probably by the end of today or in the morning. So if you want to check out this report, or if you're seeing it, if you're checking it now and you might see a red value, update it tomorrow. Make sure that your version is 2557, and then you could check it again because we would have fixed one or two things. All right. Okay. This report, which is the one from the start figures, would be the report for the new clients that would have started with us in 2024. If you did not start using micropay in 2024, this is not applicable to you. All right. Okay, let's switch back to our slides. We now go into looking at the pension or the annuity. So this is something that I always see emails or queries about. It seems to be a gray area for some people. Now, I would have covered it in my last webinar. And again, later on, we'll show you where you could find that webinar to look at it because I would have gone into a bit more detail. So you could go to that section and you could view that part of the webinar if you want to have some more details. All right. Basically, with pension or annuities, it can be set up as a company pension plan, as you see at the top here, or as an approved TD1 pension or annuity value. Now, it can be either or you may have an employee that actually has both, right? So with the company pension plan, you would use the deduction tab, as you see it's highlighted there, and you can set up the pension with an employee amount or percentage and also an employer amount or percentage. Key checkbox here is the taxable checkbox, which indicates that it is a before tax deduction, meaning that it's going to be worked into your PAY calculation so that your employees get their tax break up front during the year. All right, so this is if you have a company pension, the way that it should be set up. Now, I'm tying this in because when we get to the TD4, you would notice that this will impact your TD4, which is why you need to understand it clearly. All right. We then have the employee now who brings in an approved TD1 for you. Now, they may bring in the TD1 with only a pension being approved. In that case, you would go to the yearly annuity tab on the employee file, put in your description, and enter the annual approved value for your employee's pension or annuity plan. All right? So these are the two scenarios of setting up your company pension or the approved TD1 pension value. So I hope you all are clear on that. As I said, you could refer to the last webinar and you'll get a little more detailed explanation on it. Some other items that you need to be mindful of. So travel allowances. A lot of people have travel allowances, but they call it traveling and their addition within micropay. Right? You have your addition maintenance where you actually name your travel descriptions. Now, ideally, if you want travel to show up on the travel box on your TD4, it should be called travel allowance. All right? So that's what you need to be aware of with that. Benefit in kind. Benefit in kind does impact your employees' PAYE. So every year it should be updated correctly so that their PAYE is correct. All right? Non-tax addition. So we have clients who put in non-tax additions during the year. And some of you may have done this. You might have a reimbursement to give to an employee and you decide to pass it through the payroll. So let's say somebody went and they purchased maybe a printer on behalf of the company, a small printer. Actually, no, that's not a good example. They may have paid for something, right? A small bill. They bought a pack of paper for the office if it's a small company. So they brought it back to you and they said, all right, well, I'll give you back that when I process in the payroll, I'll give you the reimbursement. So you put it in as a non-tax addition because, it's just a pack of paper that they bought. But at the end of the year, when you print that person's TD4, you're going to notice that there's a value for them under travel dispensation. And that's where we have people querying now, what is this travel dispensation? I don't have employees who are traveling. Okay? So you need to be mindful that when you enter a non-tax addition within the payroll, it is going to show up as travel dispensation at the end of the year on your TD4. And a lot of you all would not think about that because, you're just putting it through. But I need you to be aware of it because we get a lot of people calling or emailing us at the end of the year or TD4 time querying that field. All right? So if it's a pack of paper that the person bought, you really don't need to pass that through the payroll because it's not really a payroll transaction. You could go to petty cash and give back the person their reimbursement. All right? So be mindful of things that you're putting through payroll. It should really be payroll entries. And most additions, if not all, except travel dispensation that has been approved, should be passed through micropay under additions as taxable additions. All right? TD4 allowances. So we would have touched on the approved pension or annuity plan that goes in via the yearly annuity tab because that's a specific tab for that. However, if we switch back to micropay, under the employee maintenance screen, there is the tax info tab. Okay, so within here, you have the further boxes. So if your employee has a TD1 for approved tertiary education, alimony, or mortgage interest, there are the fields within here that you could come in and enter your annual values. All right, let's switch back to the PowerPoint. So I hope that you all are now aware of these things and it gives you a little more insight into how to handle them. Okay, so we have a TD4 that I did here. Now it's very colorful. It's carnival time. So we have some sections. All right, let me just play it from the slide so you all could see it a bit bigger. Okay, so I've color coded it so that, it will be a bit easy for you all to understand because a lot of people or you all are the clients. We have emails and calls to explain certain sections, all right? So if we start with the yellow section, that represents the employee's information. So it will be the employee's name, their address, their BR number, and the NIS number. So of course that pulls from the employee maintenance. Okay. We then switch to the green section. So the green section represents your employer's or your company's name and address, the company's BR number, and their PAYE number. Okay. This section is generated from, let me see who could tell me where. So I'm going to see if you're going to get a little interactive here. All right. So who could tell me where this section is generated from? The green section. Under where? Where is that information stored? You can unmute your mic and tell me. I don't know if we have prizes today.
Employee profile. No employee.
All right. The yellow section is from the employee profile, but the green section is what I want to know. Where is that information generated from?
Under file maintenance, where we update the company information. I can't remember.
Right.
I'm not in front of my face, so
there's a special word that I'm looking for. Is under file what? You're really close, Lisa. Anybody could tell me? Anybody else want to try? Very good. All right, wonderful. I'm not seeing the name of who would have said that, but I'll give you 10 points today. All right. So yes, it is under file preferences. All right. So if you're seeing that your company address is wrong or it's missing a BR number, then you need to come into file preferences and you would need to enter that information because that is where the TD4 generates this from. So it's your company name, the address, and the BR number and your company's PAYE number. All right. So this must be entered correctly. So it will generate and print correctly on your TD4. All right. Wonderful. Let's go back into this. Okay, so we've covered the yellow and the green section. We now go into the pink section, and he has a section all by himself. All right. So this is a section, again, that a lot of people have a question mark in their head because they see the word deductions and they get worried about what is all our deductions there, right? So your total deductions as per TD1 represents a combination of values. The first value in that is the 90,000 personal allowance. The second value is 70% of the NS that the employee has paid for the year. So if we look down here, you would see that this here is this is the total NS deducted. All right, if we work out 70% of this value, it will be 3714. It's a rounded value. All right. So if you add 90,000 plus the 70% NIS and the employee's pension contribution. So this is why I mentioned the pension earlier, because this person had a before tax pension. So remember, as I said, they got the tax break up front. So it's going to show up on the TD4 and it's going to be added to this value because remember, the person got the tax break up front. So if you add up 90,000 plus 3,714 and 68.99, you're going to end up with this total. All right. If the person had any further TD1 allowances, such as the alimony or the mortgage interest or the tertiary education, those values are going to also be included in this total. So this value represents basically whatever the person would not have been taxed on. Any income after that is what the person would have been taxed on. All right. Okay, we move into the blue section. So the blue section represents your weeks employed. Sorry, let me go back. I'm not sure where this line came from. I'm sorry about that. All right, so the blue section, right? So your weeks employed versus your health surcharge weeks. All right, so let me make it a little bit smaller so you could see the health surcharge headings. So we have health surcharge deducted, all right, in total number of weeks, and then it's broken into the higher weekly contribution of $8.25, so the number of weeks there, and the lower weekly contribution of $4.80. Here it adds up the total to give you a total health surcharge deducted. So ideally, your weeks employed should match the weeks that your health surcharge was deducted for. All right. It may vary 1 or 2 weeks off sometimes, depending on the date hired of the employee if they're starting during the year, or if they would have left during the year. Okay? So depending on that, it may vary. You can change it via the TD4 maintenance to match as the weeks employed. You could change the value. So if below here says 39 and you would like up here to show as 39 and it was showing maybe 40, you could change it to 39. All right, I'll show you how to do that in the next slide. And also, it may not match if a person turns 60 within the year, right? So that's a valid reason why it would actually be different. Okay, because if the person turns 60, they will stop paying health surcharge. All right, so then it's going to vary in that instance. We now look at the purple section. So the purple section represents your remunerations before deductions, plus your traveling, plus any other taxable allowances to give you your total gross earnings. Okay, so this is your total earnings, your employees' total earnings, taxable earnings. All right, we would have mentioned the two pension stuff earlier. This is where your employee's contribution shows up. And if you have a company plan with an employer's contribution, it shows the employer's amount here. All right, so let us now switch to the, if you have questions on this, you could put it in the chat for now. We'll come back to them in a short break when we do the Q&A. All right, a short while, sorry. Okay, let us look at the TD4 maintenance screen. So I've indicated a couple things here that I would have mentioned on the previous slide, which would have been the lower health surcharge rate. So that is the box here that shows that value. Let me just make this a bit bigger for you all. All right, so you have the lower health surcharge rate and you have the higher health surcharge rate. So if you're wondering why you have two health surcharge boxes, that would be the reason why. All right. We also have here the weeks employed. So this is where, as I said, if it's off by a week, you could come in and actually change it here. So it matches on your TD4. And then we have two important boxes, which we normally would have told you to use, which would be your reset. That is to do an individual reset. And then we have the reset all option. Okay. So again, we would have mentioned these things in our past TD4 webinars. I'll just quickly show you all where to find it. So if you go to maintenance, TD4 maintenance, under here, you have the two reset buttons. If you need to do a reset on one employee, you simply select the person's name and you click on reset by itself. It will ask you to confirm, you select yes, and you save. Generally, we recommend that you do a reset all before you start checking your TD4 reports, because it normally fixes things if there's maybe like a little change in a health surcharge value or an addition value, because perhaps during the year you may have unposted runs, so it may have thrown off your stuff a little bit. The reset will fix it. Okay, so I would recommend that you make a backup and you come in and you do a reset all, and then you save before you start checking your year-to-dates and your TD4 reports. Okay. So that is using the TD4 maintenance screen.
Can I ask a question, please?
Yes, we are going to jump into questions right now. So you're on time, so you could go ahead.
I really wanted to ask a question before I move on from that topic of resetting. What happened is I missed the last webinar. And when I was doing I have started the process of doing the TD4s in terms of reconciling the two reports, the payroll runs and the TD4 report, to ensure that the amounts are the same, right? And one of the issues I found with one employee was that there was a difference in hers.
Right.
And it was because she was working somewhere before in the beginning part of 2024, and then she came in around April or so in 2024. So we would have had some external figures from a previous employer, and we entered it into the system, right? And that would have caused the difference. I was wondering if I do a reset now on her alone, that would rectify the issue.
Well, it depends really on where you would have entered in our external start figures. Do you remember where you put it through?
I think it's in external figures.
All right. Well, this is actually an excellent question. Cecily, am I pronouncing your name correct?
Yes, it is correct. Yeah.
Right. It's because I'm sure that people may have encountered or they may go through and find an issue like that, right? So I would show you the correct way to enter it. And then you might be able to say, well, maybe you entered it in the wrong place, or, I'm not sure what happened. So if we go into the employee profile, we have the tab called external start figures. Now, I would have mentioned start figures earlier. Start figures would be only for brand new clients starting micropay during the present year. So for most of you all here, you're probably using micropay a year or a couple of years now. You're never going to use start figures again. Get that out of your head, right? External start figures, as the name implies, external. Think of an external person coming to work into your company. This is the tab you're going to. You must enter the figures in here under income, health surcharge, PAYE, NS. If they work two places before, combine the figures and get one total. All right? So you must enter it here and save it. That is step one. Step two, and this is the step that a lot of people forget to do. And then they call me and say, Alana, I put in the figures, but the PAYE is still not showing up, right? Why? Okay, the reason why is because you didn't do step two. Step two would be that you must go to year-to-date totals. Click on the reset button, and it then pulls the same values that you entered here across to here, and then you simply save again. So once the person is now in, so their start figures are in, it's in the two tabs that it's required, and then you start processing the payroll for them. As you start processing the payrolls and posting those runs, it's going to now update the values under the year to dates, right? Because this is now required for their correct PAY calculation. At the end of the year, when you close the year, it minuses the external start figures. So let me just break it down. Let's say this was $10,000, right? And now the year to date would have accumulated to 100,000, right? Inclusive of the 10,000. At the end of the year, when it writes to the employee's TD4 table, it is going to minus the external, which is 10,000, from the year to date, which is 100,000, to write 90,000 to their TD4 values. Okay, so at the end of the year, TD4s would be correct for this person to only reflect what they earned within your company. Now, if you didn't put it into external start figures and you went and you just dump it directly into here, then the system will think that, okay, they earn that within the company. So it throws the full 100,000 onto the TD4. All right, it will have nothing to minus.
Question, Alana. If it is an employee, just piggybacking off of the question she just asked, in the case where the employee started, let's say the middle of the year, and no external start figures was entered for that employee at all, right? What is the end result of that now? Do we have to get that, or could we run that employee's TD4 without it?
You could run it without it, because at the end of the day, the TD4 really is supposed to show only what they earned in your company. The purpose of it really is for those employees who are earning, let's say, over $7,500 a month, and you know that they should be paying tax, right? So you put it in so that the system will tax them rather than not tax them if you don't put it in or use the calculate by period option, right? Because as an employer, let's say they're earning $20,000 a month and you don't put in any start figures, external start figures, then you're giving them the full 90,000. They will probably pay a very low tax from your company, but really and truly, it should have reflected their earnings in their past job with a full annual calculation. All right?
Okay, thanks.
No problem. Any other questions?
Yes, we have 3 questions. Lisa is asking, what's the difference between the BIK and the IT-76 form?
I honestly do not know the difference, but I know that the BIK is entered into micropay. All right, so we have the monthly benefit where you could put in the BIK and you enter the value to be taxed each month. On the TD4, it is called IT-76. If we look at it, Where's my presentation? Right, so if you look at this box, it is called IT76. But this is where the BIK value will be translated into from micropay. In terms of the accounting wording and the aspect of it, you would have to speak to your accountant to advise you on that. But this is where the BIK shows up. Any other question? What's the other question?
I'll just go one step further. The BIKs are listed on the IT76. The IT76 is the PAYE annual return form. So as Alana stated, you all could reach out to your accountants to get more information on this. Another question for those on maternity leave, is health surcharge deducted?
No, not for that period. So you would have had to put the NI benefit leave start and end date so that no NIS or health surcharge would have been deducted for that period. Because remember, they're getting the NIS benefit. So for that period, within micropay, once you specify the dates, it will not take out NIS and health surcharge for that period. So that's another valid reason why your weeks employed and your weeks that health surcharge was paid for would be different. All right.
Another question from Camille Jackman. Where do you put a deduction for an employee who has a court order in micropay so that it can be shown on his TD4 so that he can make a tax claim?
Well, that is one I'm really not sure about. You would probably, when you want to give a little more detail on that, is it that the person, they pay in a tax order? Is that alimony?
Yes.
Oh, it's alimony. Well, the thing is, does the employee bring in a TD1 based on that?
No.
Okay, well then no. In that case, you are not to put anything in for the employee for a tax break or anything on their TD4. If they need to get it, you need to get an approved TD4 from the employee stating that they have an approval to claim on that.
They received a court order.
I'm not familiar with that. Again, you might need to reach out to BIR for them to advise you on that. All right, any other questions?
We do have one or two questions, but just a reminder, or for those who came in late, if you get in a load report fail when you're trying to access your TD4, your 2024 TD4s, update to version 2555.
All right, and then I would like you all to further update probably later today or in the morning to version 2557 because we did identify two issues on the variance report. Remember that it is a new report. And we fixed it already. So just update to make sure that you have that latest version of that report. All right.
Alana, Lisa here from CMB.
Yeah, hi.
Just in terms of the question the person asked with the alimony. From my experience, the TD1, when the person had put in the information on the TD1, the BIR did not approve it. So
right.
From my experience was things like your tertiary education and the alimony, even though it's there on a TD1, they don't normally approve those deductions front.
So you have to claim at the end of the year.
So you claim at the end of the year when you do your filing for the tax. So putting it into micropay really does not benefit you because you're not really allowed to get the tax break for it upfront.
Well, thank you very much, Lisa.
That has been my experience.
Okay. Well, it's good for you all to share experiences because, I mean, it would help answer her question about it. All right. And it's good for us to know as well. All right. So,
Alana, I saw you did the year-to-date total and you was doing a reset there when you were showing the example of one employee. Right? What I want to know, for you have to do that reset single-handedly per employee, or it's something that
we're talking about the external start figures on that year-to-date reset?
Yeah.
Well, remember when somebody's starting new, it's only one person at a time. So when you build a record and you put in the external start figures, it's the individual reset, not reset all.
Okay, no, reason why I asked that, simply because more or less taken over from the person who would have been here before. So I would not know everybody who would have started.
Well, you could do the reset all as well, but make sure that you do
Okay.
a backup first. All right. If
Okay.
you're doing a reset all, do a backup first, and then you could do it.
Okay.
All right.
Just remember, if any employee starts within the calendar year and they don't provide year-to-date totals, go into the tax info tab and click calculate by period.
Right. So as we're on that topic, okay, I know we're going a little bit off course here, but I know you all are asking. Thank you, Kadeen, for that. So under tax info, there is the calculate by period checkbox. So if your employee comes in as a new person and they fell out with their last employer and they don't want to go back to ask for a pay slip, then this is the option that we have in MicroPay, right? So you could go to tax info. When you build out the employee's record, you select calculate by period. It will project as if they have worked 12 months in your company. You may be overtaxing them, but at least you are taxing them at the end of the year when they submit their TD4s. It's up to them to get their reimbursements. But as an employer, you will be doing the right thing on taxing them because you know that they worked before. They cannot provide you with their past year to dates. So this is the option that we've given to you. Right? Calculate by period under tax info. Okay, next question.
Alana, I have a question from Rod Plus. If the person or the employee was not working anywhere, do you still click calculate by period?
Well, that would be up to you to use your discretion because you would have to know whether the person is being honest with you or not. And then you could choose to not click it and give them the full break. The full 90,000 personal allowance for the year. All right?
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. No problem. You're welcome. All right. So we've gone through the TD4, the sections. I hope the colors really helped you all. I was enjoying doing this. We have the TD4 maintenance. And now I'm going to pass you all over. Oh, sorry, my videos. Okay, so I did some videos so I could stop talking a bit, right? We will have a little Q&A as well a little bit later on again. So this video firstly shows you how to do the Severance TD4. And the next video shows you how to generate your CSV file. We would upload the videos as separate items later on, which Kadeen will show you how you could access it. So you have a resource if you need it. All right. So let us play the first video on doing the severance. Are you all hearing? Well, in a bit we'll start to play.
To generate the Severance TD4, go to the TD4 maintenance screen firstly to enter your severance values. So under the TD4 maintenance screen, select the employee that you wish to enter the value for. Go over to the severance year-to-date field and enter the severance that you wish to input and save. If there is also PAYE, you could enter your severance PAYE value. Close the screen and go to reports, yearly reports, TD4 form. It will then bring up your filter screen. Select the severance checkbox and select the employee that you wish to view the Severance TD4. Click on View, and you are then presented with the summary sheet. You can close that off, the signature sheet, and your 2024 Severance TD4.
Scroll my mouse. Okay, thank you, Alana. All right, so that was the Severance TD4. The next video is how to generate the CSV file. Let me share this one as well.
To create the CSV file, go to Reports, Yearly Reports. Select TD4 Forms, confirm that your year is correct, and choose the option for CSV file. Save the file to somewhere that you can easily find it, and click OK once completed. To open your CSV file, simply right-click on the file and open with Notepad. Do not open the file as a CSV file, as it may strip off some zeros and change some formatting. Thank you.
Alright, so
if you have multiple databases under the same company name, you can create your individual CSV files, open a new Notepad file, and copy and paste the contents of each to create one file. Ensure that your employees' BRN numbers, which are found under the Employee Maintenance Screen Tax Info tab, do not have any spaces or dashes between your numbers. Ensure that your employee addresses are also entered and entered correctly for a seamless CSV upload.
Alright, so those are our TD4. Let me stop sharing for a minute there. Right, so those are our TD4 videos on how to create your TD4 files. Why isn't this? Okay, there we go. Right, now there is one report that I want to draw to your attention. Not sure if you all used it before, you should have, but I'll just show it anyway. So if we actually go to the TD4 template, when you double click here, there is the, oh wait, I'm not sharing my screen, hold on. All right, you see in the screen there, Kadeem?
Yes.
Okay, so if we go into reports, yearly reports, we have the TD4 template, right? If you double click on it, you would notice that at the top here, you have view, you have print, you have the TD4 report, the CSV file. If we click on this TD4 report, it generates another report. And this is actually a very, very useful report because it has each box from the TD4. As you see, it's numbered 1 to 14. And it shows the values that will be going into each box. All right. It also even breaks the health surcharge for those of you with weekly and fortnightly payrolls. It breaks it into the lower and the higher rates. So it's a little bit easier with your reconciliations. All right. And then below here, you have your counters. So this is also useful when you're uploading the CSV file. So this is a very useful report. If you were not aware of it before, it is there now. Please use it when you're doing your upload or your reconciliations. All right. The key takeaways from today would be, of course, to update your software so you don't get the load report fail error. Balance your reports. Do any editing if needed in your TD4 maintenance screen. Ensure your taxes are applied to the correct fields. Use the reports that you could use that report that I just showed you as well again. And also, to finally print and save your TD4s, generate your CSV file, and your Severance TD4s if needed. I'm now going to pass you all to Kadeen to show us some of our micropay newest and coolest tools, so you all would have access to those as well. And on to you, Kadeen.
Hi, everyone. Thanks again for joining us today. So I'll share my screen now. And I'll be pulling up. Okay, so let's just pull up micropay. So we have 2 resources that you can use, and you can find them in Help Center and Ask Max. Right, some of you or most of you would have used Max already and are pretty familiar with him, but I'll still show you how you can use him. So we have a few questions down here, so we could select how to do software updates. Remember to enter your information and submit. right? Okay, so he talks about updating the software, and you can ask a few questions. We also have another feature, which is our video library. We are currently updating this, and you can either access them via a link that I'll post in the tab soon, in the chat soon, but you can also click on Max on the top here, and it'll take you to the video library. We do have a few videos. The year-end webinar for the monthly by monthly was posted, and we have 2 new videos, how to do a backup and how to do a software update. This webinar, as well as the 2 videos on the severance and the CSV, will be uploaded by the end of the week, and we do intend on uploading more during the course of the year. So you guys could look out for that, and I would suggest that you subscribe to the channel so you can get updates on when we upload new videos. And that is it for me in the resources. The next thing would be to open up the floor for more questions. I do have a few in the chat, so I'll attend to those. Let me stop sharing my screen. Right? And so someone asked about if the severance is taxed, and there is a tax exemption on severance up to 500,000. I put the link from IRD in the chat so you all could go into it and search for any questions that you may have. Yulan asked, what is the use of the CSV file? The CSV file is needed to upload your TD4 information onto BIR's website.
I'm seeing one about the missing BIR number. I think, Kadeen, you said that this year somebody had gotten through the blank BIR number.
Yes, so I know last year was a bit chaotic with this particular instance because it changed 3 times actually last year, where you had to put zeros only, 1 and zeros, and then nothing at all. But I did have a few clients who uploaded with no zeros. So it's a blank field or a blank space, and they were successful in that. So you can try that. And if that doesn't work, you can add in the zeros. Remember, not to exceed 10 zeros. Right?
I think adding to that, though, it shouldn't just be zeros. I think you need to put like a digit before it.
Yes.
Yeah. Or at the end. I think it's before at the end. But just, yeah, don't just put zeros.
If you don't have a BIR number, you can fill it with the 10 zeros, 1 and 9 zeros, or leave the space blank. You could try either or. Okay, Janelle is asking, and Alana, your last report showed TD4 detailed reports. She used as well, however, under approved pension, they have 2 employees approved by BIR, which she inputted in there, but the report doesn't show.
Where did you put it? Under their annuity tab in their profile?
Yes, under the annuity plan.
Right. So remember, it will show up on the box that it's supposed to show up on. Let me go back to this. It's going to show it's going to be included in this value. Deductions as per TD1. This is the value that it's supposed to be included. So it's supposed to be your 90,000 personal allowance, your 70% NIS. If you have a company pension plan, the employee's contribution to that for the year, and any other TD1 values that you would have entered via the employee maintain on screen.
So it's included in box 1, not in box 11.
Box 11 is where?
The approved pension.
Yeah, no. This is if it's a company pension plan only.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Got you.
No problem. There should not be any spaces or dashes, BR or NS number. BR numbers for sure should definitely not have no dashes or spaces. I'm not sure on the NIS. I think you could probably have a
No,
dash in that one. No?
no. For
No
the
dashes. Okay.
ones, for the sake of the CSV at uploaded.
Yeah, that's CSV. Yeah,
Yes.
better to leave them out. Okay, any other questions, y'all? Anybody feeling more confident to do their TD4s now? Show a raise a hand.
Alana, I have a question.
Nerissa.
Regarding the stamping and initialing of the TD4s, is there a way to do it electronically? And the second question, is there an option to email out the TD4s, like how we have the option to email out payslips?
We do it for bigger clients where they have to send us their logos, the company stamp and the signature, sorry. And we will create a custom TD4 for them. And they have the option to email it out. You could send it in an email and request it, and I'm not sure if there's a charge, but we will let you know once you send us the email. All right?
Okay. And the TD4s, is there an option for them to be emailed, like the payslips or email?
Yes, it's something again. If we give you, remember that you can't send it out like the payslip without the stamp and the signature, because then it would not be accepted by BIR, right? So only if you give us your stuff and we create the custom TD4 with your company's stamp and signature, then we would turn on the email option for you to have that to email it, because it doesn't make sense you send it without that, because then the employee would not be able to use it to claim.
Okay, understood.
All right.
And the manual TD4s, I know before you told me to send that information to you guys and you all will create them.
The manual TD4s?
Yeah, I have about 3 people who were paid off of the payroll. They were paid by the payroll.
To add the record into the TD4 maintenance. Yeah, you'll have to send me an email on that with with their IDs. All right, but we don't really encourage that to be, because then ideally it should just generate for employees who are paid on our payroll for 2024. But because it's just 1 or 2 people, we will log in and add the employee numbers so you could put in their figures. All right.
Thanks.
Hi, Lisa from CMB.
Hi.
Just to add to what she was saying, or maybe clarify, because we don't have micropay doing specialized TD4 for us with the stamp and the signature. But what I do is I do have access to Adobe. So I have a soft copy of the company stamp and the signature that once I export the file, I open it.
And you add it on.
And I add it on, and then I extract each one. We're a small company, so.
Well, right. So you do your stuff and you make it work.
It's easy. It's easy for us because we are a small company. I can understand for a larger company, it may not be efficient. And then once I extract it, I send it out to the same addresses that we use for the payslip for each individual. So I don't know if that is something that might work for that individual who was asking.
Well, right. So what Lisa was saying in Arista is that she does it in Adobe where she attaches the stamp and the signature, and then she emails it out. So that's an option if you have an IT person that could assist you with that. Or if you really need us to do it for you, you could send us the information and we would have to review and advise accordingly. All right?
I'll try the method that Lisa mentioned because it's only about 15 persons.
Correct. Okay. Are you asking about the deadline there? Yeah, you'll have to probably check their website. I am not sure what's the deadline, and I know it's normally the end of February, but I'm not sure if they extended. Or maybe one of you all could answer that question.
Good afternoon, Alana.
Hi, good afternoon. Jasmine, how are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. No, normally our company, we like to get to the reports out as early as possible. So sometimes I find myself doing reports by mid-January because our team is very small. So my question really is in terms of like the updates to get the TD4 download, normally how soon is that available?
We would have sent that out, I think, by about the 2nd week of January or the 3rd week.
Okay.
Yeah, to actually get the TD4. When we added the variance report a little bit later on, but the TD4 is available. I mean, we could have it available within the second week of January. Even if you don't have an update and you really need it, then you could reach out to us, email us, and we will send you the files to be added.
Okay. And
Okay.
just one other question. Now you mentioned that by tomorrow we'll have a version 2557. Is it that it's going to be a more updated TD4?
No, nothing changes on the TD4 at all. The change will be to your year-to-date variance report.
Oh,
okay.
That's okay.
So if you did your TD4s already and everything balanced, then you don't really even need to update. All is well by you. All right. If you're using the variance report, though, for those of you all that are here, and you're getting maybe some values in red, then you could update again and try it and see if it's either completely removes them or if it's a lesser amount of variances. Can the TD4 be uploaded without the stamp and initial? No, Shireen, it cannot be. You have to stamp it and initial it before you give it to your employees. All right. Well, we are on the 1 hour mark. If you all do not have any further questions, then we close for today. As Kadeen said, we would be posting this webinar as well as the videos within it onto the YouTube channel.
I saw Marlo had his hand up.
Not, could you?
Marlo.
Hello?
I not
Can
see
you
it.
hear me?
Uh-huh.
Right. Just mentioned that employee would have joined the organization, say for instance in 2024, and they didn't supply a TD1. So you say you could check the calculate tax by period.
They didn't submit their year-to-dates, not a TD1. It's their year-to-dates from their past job.
Yes, they didn't submit that.
Mm-hmm.
So you take a check the tax by
Calculate
period.
by period, correct. Well, you can't really do that at this stage because we finished 2024. But if you have a new person and coming into 2025 and they do not supply you with their year-to-dates from their previous job or jobs, then you can select the calculate by period when you're building out their profile.
Right.
Okay.
And next period was like in 2020. Do you have to uncheck that box or do you leave it as is?
Yes. So after you close the year, if you would have checked it in 2024, when you close the year, ideally you should go in and uncheck the box for that employee's profile in the new year, because now they're going to be working for the full year within your company. All right.
When I get that card right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. When would the reports be ready? What reports are you referring to, Delisa? The TD4 report is ready already. You just need to run your updates and you'll get them. Okay?
On version 255.
Yeah, anything from 255 is available, and you could just update further to 2557, as I said, by maybe tomorrow morning, and you will have the updated variance report as well there. Okay? All right. Thank you all so much for attending today and giving us your time. We hope that you have a better grasp on your TD4s and your reports and everything else that goes with TD4s. And we look forward to seeing you all at our next webinar. All right. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, everyone. It was very informative.
Thanks and goodbye.
You're welcome. Bye.
Have a great day.
Okay, bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye, everyone.